Hi everyone, so it's the end of March, which means it's time for my March wrap-up video. So this month I managed to read 13 books. I have no idea how I managed to do that around all my psychology work, but I did, and the 13 books that I read this month were all pretty great books and I really enjoyed every single one of them. The first book I read this month was Fragments by Dan Wells, and this is the second book in the partial sequence, and I believe it's going to be a trilogy. Well, going by the ending of Fragments, it has to be a trilogy, and I really enjoyed this book and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The second book I read this month was Level 2 by Lenore Applehans, and this is the first book in the Memory Chronicles series, and I am absolutely dying to get my hands on the second book, Level 3, because it was just such a fantastic book. The ending was so unexpected and that's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The third book I read this month was The Future of Us by Jay Asher and Carolyn Mackler. This was such a cute contemporary read and that's why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The fourth book I read this month was The Evolution of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodgkin, and this is the second book in the Mara Dyer series, and wow, this was so much better than the first book and I absolutely loved the first book, so this book definitely got 5 stars from me. The fifth book I read this month was a proof copy, and it was a proof of This Is What Happy Looks Like by Jennifer E. Smith, and I received this thanks to Jess at Jess Hearts Books because she tweeted that I should receive a copy, and thank you so much Jess for tweeting that I should get a copy because I absolutely love this book and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read this month was for the Young Adult Bloggers Book Club, which I am part of, and it was Under the Never Sky by Veronica Rossi. I'm so annoyed at myself for not picking up this book sooner. It was so much more amazing than I ever expected it to be and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And as soon as I finished that, I picked up Through the Evernight by Veronica Rossi as well, which is the second book in the Under the Never Sky series, and I love this book just as much as the first book and that's why I got 5 out of 5 stars as well. The next book I read this month was Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins. I'm so annoyed at myself for not reading this sooner. So many people had said that I should get my hands on this and read it, and it's been sitting on my shelves for a couple of months, and I finally picked it up this month and I fell in love with everything about the story. It was just such a perfect contemporary and that's why I got 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read this month was Crossed by Ali Condé. This is the second book in the Matched series. Unfortunately, I didn't enjoy this book as much as I loved Matched, and that's why it only got 3 out of 5 stars from me. The next book I read was The Iron Daughter by Julie Kagawa, and this is the second book in the Iron Fae series. I read the first one last June I think, and this is me just getting around to finishing the rest of the series. And I absolutely loved this book as much as I loved the first one, which is why it got 5 out of 5 stars from me. The next book I read this month was my favourite book of the whole month by far. There is no comparison between this book and any other book that I read this month, and that book was Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare. I'm still feeling the emotions I had when reading this book. Every time I think about it, everything just hits me again, and I think that's why it's just such a fantastic end to a series, and that's just why it's such a fantastic book and why it deserved 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I read this month was The Host by Stephanie Meyer. I took my dust jacket off this to read it because it was sliding about and I seem to have misplaced it, and I don't know where I put it, but hopefully it will show up soon. But I was rereading this month because the movie came out on the 29th and I'm going to see it on the 3rd of April, and I'm so excited to see the movie because the book was just as amazing as it was the first couple of times I read it, and the 5 out of 5 star rating stayed because I just absolutely love this book. And the last book I read this month was Hunger by Michael Grant, and it's the second book in the Gone series, and I'm really happy that I continued on with this series because I did enjoy this book a lot more than I enjoyed Gone, because this book got 4 out of 5 stars from me. There was a lot more going on. I started to understand the story more, although the whole relationship thing still annoys me, but I'm going to have to get used to that. But yeah, I did enjoy this one a lot more, and I'm really excited to continue with the rest of the series. So that was my wrap up for the month of March. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye everyone!